Ooh. Oh, whoa. That's like the 5th take I had to do that for a joke that I'm not even sure why I had to do. I think I was going with that that guy from Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. Remember the ooh, the judge guy? I forget his name. Anyway, hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking and Barry here, back again. This will be One Piece chapter 996. That's right, only 5 chapters remain until we hit the vaunted chapter 1000. Can we throw in like some dramatic like lightning or thunderbolt right here? Oh, yeah! Chapter 1000! Oh yeah. But today we're talking about chapter 996 titled The Island of the Strongest, which I know we already did One Piece movie 10, Strong World. You know, it already had strong in the title. But if this is the working title for the next One Piece movie, I'd be okay with that. One Piece movie 15, The Island of the Strongest. See, it builds hype. It builds hype. Although then again, you could use that as an alternate title for a lot of One Piece movies, like One Piece Stampede. Alternate title, One Piece Island of the Strongest. It kind of also works in that movie as well. Okay, so we got a hilarious cover spread this time. We got Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach, the main antagonist essentially of this entire story, probably Luffy's final opponent, brushing his teeth next to a hippopotamus wearing a top hat. The hippopotamus is wearing the top hat, not Blackbeard. But still, it's funny. I love it whenever Oda... I mean, it's funny enough whenever he draws, like, the Straw Hats, you know, being wacky and silly in the cover spreads, but it's always funny whenever he draws the villains, or maybe not even the villains, just, like, really serious characters like that. I think there was another one where he drew Dragon, and Dragon's face just had this expression that was really weird, given Dragon's very serious kind of personality. But yeah, this is great for Blackbeard. I imagine he's on the Hachinosu, the Pirate Paradise. He's a Yonko, and he's just like... Ah, Zeha! I will capture the world! I will steal all the powerful devil fruits! I will obtain all the red poneglyphs! I will defeat all the other Yonko! And then I will finally reach Laugh Tale and obtain the One Piece and become king of the pirates! Zeha! That was a delicious breakfast, Shiryu. Oh my god, you outdid yourself. You guys can clean all this up. I'm going down to the creek to brush my teeth. It's gonna be a long day. We got a lot of stuff to go on today. I gotta sit around and drink a bunch of booze and eat a bunch of food and laugh a lot. I mean, it's a busy schedule, so I better get to it. And he walks down. Blackbeard doesn't even take me as a guy that, like, brushes his teeth often because he's missing teeth. He's, like, more piratey than a lot of other people. But yeah, he just goes down and takes a mug and starts brushing his teeth. Hippo's next to him. Sup, Hippo, how you doing? Yeah, well, you know how it goes. Well, see you tomorrow. Just, yeah, like, that's Blackbeard's life, and I just love that. Okay, so, I forgot to hook up my clicker thing this time. Oh no, we're going manual on this one. Alright, so, chapter starts off where we left off last time, a little bit into the future though, and there's like a little bit of a segment that we're missing and I love. So last time, just as a brief recap, Page 1 and Ulti were going up against Nami and Usopp. Usopp got a cranium to the head and it was not looking good. He kind of got some major fractures there. He's down and he's barely conscious, and Nami was dead to rights by Ulti, and Ulti was like, you know, say that he's not going to become king of the pirates. Say that your captain's going to fail. But Nami, she held true to her beliefs to the very end and was like, no, Luffy is going to be king of the pirates. Even if she's going to die, she still admitted that. And Ulti was about to finish her off. And then all of a sudden, Tama came in riding on Komachio and then just devoured Ulti. And then that was the end of the chapter, right? And everyone was freaking out. So we start off this chapter with Komachio and Tama and Nami and Usopp all riding away at top speed. So I'm kind of curious at like what the intermediate there was, because you see Komachio running away and then you just see Page 1 and Ulti off into the background, and you know, Ulti's just like, Pei, attack that dog! So it's funny because it's just like, I like to imagine like Ulti of course was not seeing this coming, and so Komachio just rode in, bit down on Ulti hard, and was just like, roar! Just like tossing her around a little bit in its mouth before spitting her out, and just like, alright, Tama's like, alright, let's go! Get on! Oh god, Usopp's bleeding a lot. Get on here. Alright, let's go, Komachio! And then just, Garou! And then just, you know, ran away. And so Ulti's just there, just like on the ground, and just Page 1 is just like, what happened? Go after that dog! So the dog is just rampaging. They were actually located in the bathhouse. That wasn't like revealed last time, but the location where Nami and Ulti and everybody were fighting was in the bathhouse part of this tower. So they're running around, and everybody in the freaking hall is just getting knocked away by this giant dog, and they're like, what's that thing? That's one of those Koma Inus from the mainland of Wano. How the hell did that thing get here, right? So they're they're rampaging around. Usopp is... I hesitate to say he's okay, but he's, like, still speaking, but it's all garbled. Like, you know, he's missing... Some fragments of his brain are probably being pierced by fragments of his skull, right? So he's there and he's like, it's okay, guys. I'm good. And Nami's like, you are clearly not. Good thing I'm okay, though. You know, I made it through that with pretty much all in one piece, okay? Tama, by the way, why are you here? How did you get here? What's up? Now, Tama does not give a lot of time to really explain what's happening. She just says, oh, I came here on an enemy ship. Don't worry about it. So that was it. And not only did she come here on an enemy ship, of course, she's also got Komichio in tow, as well as Hihimaru, who is the giant baboon that Luffy also encountered upon first arriving at Wano, with the samurai armor and the giant katana. So Hihimaru shows up and clashes with Page 1 as, you know, Page 1 is giving chase. Alright, so that's really cool. And Tama's like, Hihimaru, give me like 3 minutes so we can get away. Like, just buy us a few minutes of time. Now, even buying a few minutes of time from Page 1, who's a member of the Tobiropo, that's still like a big order to fill there, so I'm not sure if this baboon is really up to the task, but giant baboon with a sword, with some samurai armor. I think this baboon, I think it's got a fair shot at doing this, right? And so they're just running away. We don't really find out much more about how Tama got there. Came on an enemy ship, so I'm assuming it would have had to have been one of Kaido's ships. You know, I'm guessing it could have happened. Oh, you know what it could have been? It could have been Orochi's procession. Yeah, actually, you know what? That makes a lot more sense than Kaido's ships, because Orochi's procession was like this big festival thing going on, and, you know, Orochi, you know, he's like, I am Lord Orochi! Prepare my procession! Oh, yes, look at that mighty ship that will take us to Onigashima for the fire festival. You know, there was fireworks going off, there were lanterns, there were people dancing, seeing off Orochi. You know, I can imagine that sort of scenario. Tama probably could have snuck aboard with a giant dog and a giant baboon and maybe some other giant animals along the way in tow. You know, I think that could have worked. They could have just blended into the celebration. You know, like if you were a bunch of robotic clowns trying to stow away on a marine ship. You know, it's just nobody's gonna pay attention to you, right? So, yeah, maybe that was like part of the festival. Like, oh, look at that giant dog float. And the dog is like pretending to be just an animatronic or like a float and just like, yes, we're just going to the festival now. You know, and they just get on the ship and they sail to the festival, and then Tama got off and then maybe hid around in the surrounding area of the island until her time was right to pop out. Also, did we ever find out, it was like right when the Straw Hats first arrived, did we ever find out who that shadowy person was in the bushes that was observing Robin and Jinbei? I think we just assumed it was Yamato, which it could have been. I don't know if it was ever confirmed that it was Yamato. That could have been Tama. And maybe Tama was just, she's smart. She's not just going to dive right into the battle, you know, because for one thing, she's 8 years old, you know, so that's not going to go well. But she's just like, I'm just going to observe what's going on here and where everybody's at, and then when the time is right, I'll make my move. And then it was that time when Nami was about to die, she showed up, okay? So, yeah, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, Tama got there. I'm sure it's probably going to be revealed later. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. Tama ended up on the island, and now they're trying to get away from Page 1 and Ulti. Not really sure if they'll succeed, but I hope they do. Kind of sucks that that's how Ulti and Page 1's fight with Nami and Usopp kind of ended. They might circle around to do something again, like Nami and Usopp might get back up to fight again, but I don't know. Usopp's looking really sorry right now. Chopper's half ice Oni, so I don't know if he can fix him up. Marco is around, so maybe Marco could do something to like heal them really quick. And Nami's also not looking. I mean, she's in one piece, but she's conscious, but she's bleeding a lot, so yeah, they might need a doctor or something before they can fight another opponent in this arc. However, we do get one more scene with Tama that I really want to bring up, and that's when the baboon goes to fight against Page 1 to hold him back, and Tama's like, you know, give us like 3 or 4 minutes. Nami is just like, oh, I don't know if that baboon can handle it, you know, this is dangerous. And Tama turns to Nami like really serious, and Tama's like, you know, oh Nami, don't think of us lightly. We are samurai. We are all samurai. We all fight for Wano. So that was a really nice moment there where Tama, you know, of course she wanted to be a kunoichi, of course, because of Ace and everything, but also samurai or the warriors that defend the homeland of Wano, and kind of we're all samurai in this one particular instance. You know, we're all fighting on even keel here, of course. I think is basically what Tom is trying to like take me serious here, take Komichio and Hihimaru just as serious as you would with any other samurai that's fighting right now for our homeland. I think that was basically the message, and so that was a nice little scene there. So now we cut over to Yamato fighting against Sasaki. So if you remember where we were at last time, Sasaki shows up with his armored core, which are a bunch of smiles that that are dedicated to like high defense and endurance. So we had like a porcupine smile, and we had like a bunch of like insect smile users that had like the exoskeleton and everything. Yamato seems to be making quick work of the majority of this armor core, though. Like, I don't know if it was like a one-on-one thing, or it seems to be like a few are coming at Yamato here with the giant shields and everything. Like, you will be defeated, Master Yamato. Very respectful, even though they're about to get their asses kicked. So Yamato, it just takes the Kanabo and just bam, 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 just knocking all these armored core members back. So they're down to like a few. Like, you got a Rhino there, so there's a Rhino smile that's still there. And Sasaki is just kind of like, alright, enough of this. I can't have all my armored core members just die here today. Like, this was my thing. Like, this was Sasaki's private army. Master Yamato, you are just obliterating everything, so I'm gonna get involved here. So, few things. First thing is, Sasaki begins to unsheath his sword. And when he does unsheath his sword, we actually get to see the blade looks very different from a lot of other katanas. It's still a katana, at least in a katana shape, except it's like zebra lines that are all, they look like razor blades, honestly. Just imagine like a diagonal kind of cross section here, and it's just like a zebra pattern that goes all the way down the sword. And Sasaki only draws like a little bit. He does that like intimidating thing, intimidation thing, where he's just like, you know, I can't have you defeat all of my members of the armored core, Yamato. Shing. And then we just see the blade there. So he does that, and then Yamato just glances over at Sasaki and just gets like really angry, and then you just see Yamato's like teeth go from regular teeth to like dragon teeth. Like, Yamato's just like, Sasaki, and then we don't get any more of that. It kind of just like gives us a little glimpse there of Yamato's power. And then Sasaki kind of has a moment where he sort of drops his fudge, because Sasaki just kind of glances over at Yamato when Yamato's teeth go into like rage mode, and then Sasaki's just like, oh, and just like the glance, like the eyes are wide open, and just like the, you know, exclamation mark, like, what? And so, before that can go further, Frankie then bursts in. Yeah, we got some Frankie action now. Frankie bursts in, remember having Hachi in, not Hachi, that's, you know, Hacha, that's it, Hacha. Hacha in tow, one of the numbers, number 8 of the numbers, remember? That was the number that, like, looked at the Frankie Shogun, and his eyes all lit up like it was a toy, and so Frankie was, like, luring Hacha away. I thought they were going all the way outside, but they're still in the tower, right? This place is huge. Anyway, so Frankie is running into the middle of the battlefield between Yamato and Sasaki, and Hacha's behind him with this giant club, and so it just gets right into the center where Hacha just brings down the club and just BAM! And just the entire floor just gets destroyed, just atomized in one hit. And they weren't on the bottom floor. I mean, there's like basement levels to this place. So the floor just gets destroyed, and Yamato, Momonosuke, and Shinobu, because remember, Shinobu and Momo were still there. There was another moment there where Yamato kept like tanking shots from the Armored Core division. I missed this scene a little earlier. So Yamato kept tanking hits, and as we saw from the last time, for the most part, Yamato could do that just fine, but it's kind of like the damage is sort of adding up, and Yamato has to keep protecting Momo, right? So on top of like defeating all the Armored Core members, every single time somebody takes out a bazooka or tries to fire a shot at Momo, who is their main target, Yamato has to jump in and block it, right? And so you get the feeling that might be kind of taking its toll, and Shinobu's off to the side like, you know, I don't know who you are, you know, you claim to be Kozuki Oden or whatever, but don't you think it would be smarter right now to just grab Momo and run? Like, if you are truly one of our allies, you know, get him out of here. And Yamato just like strikes the pose of just like, you know, that is not what Kozuki Oden would do. You know, I will stand here, you know? And so Shinobu's like, you're gonna die a fool, you know, for your pride or whatever, you know? And then that's when Frankie shows up, and then Hacha destroys the floor, okay? And so Yamato takes this moment to kind of like look to Frankie, and just, there's a moment where Yamato's like, that's Cyborg Frankie, a member of Luffy's crew. Wow. Yeah, there really are people that are cyborgs, that are robotic people in this world. I never knew. Because because the entire time, from the world's perspective, that's what Frankie looks like. Like, he looked like his former, you know, wanted poster before the time skip, but he, like, became a cyborg. He just became not a cyborg, he became a straight robot over the time skip, so everybody just kind of assumes that's Frankie's real face. Even the members of the Frankie family at Water 7, it was really funny when they saw the new wanted poster and they were like, you know, big bro Frankie, what did you do? You know, you just went full robot. That's crazy. I mean, awesome, but crazy, right? And so that was a funny moment. But at any rate, Yamato and Shinobu and Momo, as they're falling, are kind of like, oh, this could work. So Frankie, I'm sorry, Frankie didn't fall. I read this a few times and I was like, I thought Frankie was falling with them, but no, Frankie managed to avoid the hit. So it's just Yamato, Momo, and Shinobu that are falling down the hole. As they're falling, it's very dramatic timing and everything like that. But they kind of shout up over to Frankie like, hey, we're gonna take Momo and get out of here. Can you handle this upstairs? So Frankie, basically entrusting Frankie to fight against Sasaki and Hacha. But Hacha's not really a problem because before Yamato, you know, disappears into the basement or whatever, Yamato's like, you know what, I'll help him out with one more thing. And so Yamato uses this technique with the Kanabo and just BAM! I don't know if it's using just hockey or if there's like a piece of rubble falling down with them and Yamato just strikes the piece of rubble or whatever, uses a technique called ring or ringing arrow and then fires this shot straight up and it hits Hacha BAM! Right at the base of the jaw, so it like rocks him, but it goes beyond that. It really does honestly look like whatever Yamato did, whether or not it was just a hockey hit or it was like a piece of rubble or whatever, shot a hole like right through Hacha's head. Like from, you know, bottom to the top. Like it hit him right there at the base of the jaw, and then you see smoke like coming out of the top of his head, and Hacha's like rattled like, Hacha, boom, and then just falls. And so Yamato just took out one of the numbers like that. Like, while falling down into an abyss wasn't even that big of a deal, right? And so this is similar to, like, whenever Luffy uses Red Hawk, like when Luffy used Red Hawk against Hody Jones, you know, hit him, and then the fire happened, and then it came out of his back, even though, like, Hody should have had, like, a giant hole in his chest. Same thing with Doflamingo, where Luffy punches Dofi with Red Hawk, and the fire seems to come right out of their other side, like he just blasted a hole right through them, but that's actually not what happened. It might have been the same principle with Hacha, but at any rate, Hacha is down for the count, he's not getting back up, and his entire head is just like really rattled, okay? And so Frankie is just like, you know, don't worry, leave it to me, super, I'll take care of this guy. So it seems to imply that we're now setting up the Tobiropo to definitely go up against the Straw Hats. Like I said, I was kind of disappointed in the whole ulti page 1 Nami Usopp things, but who knows, maybe Marco will show up, use his Phoenix Fire on both of them, and then they'll heal, and then it'll be like round 2, except now they'll have maybe a better plan on how to deal with them. Maybe it'll be something like that. I still really want Nami and Usopp to have that team up, excuse me, I just ate lunch, have that team up battle with ulti and page 1. That'd be really cool, right? But at any rate, it seems like Frankie, though, is going up against Sasaki and what remains of the Armored Corps, which, like I said, you got a Rhino Smile there, a few other Smiles hanging out, but a lot of them were defeated by Yamato. So Frankie's going to be a little bit maybe easier to deal with the riffraff, but the real battle, of course, is going to be Frankie, Iron Pirate Frankie Shogun, dealing with Sasaki, this giant, probably heavily armored dinosaur, you know, like a Triceratops with the plates, or an Ankylosaurus, or something really heavily armored. And this is cool. I mean, this really fits Frankie because, you know, he prides himself in having, like, his iron defense, and if it's looking rough, if it's looking like Sasaki can slice through the Frankie Shogun or something like that, that is something we might actually get here, and that's kind of scary. Remember back when Frankie was dealing with Baby 5 and Buffalo at, not Thriller Bark, at Punk Hazard, right? Similar islands, Punk Hazard and Thriller Bark. Anyway, remember when Frankie was fighting against them, and Baby 5 was turning into all these weapons, trying to attack the Frankie Shogun? I think the only one that actually managed to pierce Frankie's armor was the Sickle Girl, when Baby 5 turned into a sickle, and then Buffalo used his gyro fruit to like spin her around at super high RPMs, and then boom, it managed to like cut through the armor. But that took a lot of effort to even get there. Frankie even tanked the Missile Girl attack from Baby 5. So the Frankie Shogun can deal up with a lot of punishment here, but now we have Sasaki, one of the highest ranking members of the Tobiropo. He's the second eldest, I think, right after Who's Who, so he's probably been there for a while, and his dinosaur form, we haven't even yet to see that yet. So that's looking very, very terrifying, but also very evenly matched. thing. So we might see a thing where the Frankie Shogun might get beat up, might get an arm lopped off or a leg or something, and Frankie's inside and he's like, oh man, we're getting cut up. Okay, I gotta resort to Frankie Shogun final battle mode. You know, he pushes the button, Power Rangers music cues up in the background, like, go, go, Frankie Rangers! And then, like, it's like, yeah, hey, I kid about that, but you know Frankie would have installed a 6 sound system in the Frankie Shogun somewhere, right? Oh, hold on! I can't fight you unless I have boss tunes! So I'm really pumped to see how that fight's gonna go, definitely. One more scene that we get with Yamato is, as everybody's falling, Momo is in Yamato's arms, and Yamato's like, Momonosuke, and Momo is like barely conscious still. He's like, oh god, you know, so many explosions today, my hearing is shot. Momo is just like, oh, and Yamato's like, I will make sure you survive no matter what. You must see the dawn of this new era. You will help bring about the dawn of this new age. You will survive, Master Momonosuke! And so, that's the last scene with them, and that's a really epic moment, of course. You know, I think we could all assume that Momo has a bigger part to play in all this. Son of Odin, you know, could hear the voice of Zunisha, probably could hear the voices of all things, kind of like similar to Luffy's ability. Momo is definitely going to play a pivotal role in this new era that's going to come about, you know, once Luffy becomes king of the pirates, the world government, you know, or maybe not the world government itself, but the Tenryubito system collapses. You know, Momo needs to be there for that, and also just a new ruler for Wano after these 20-something years of being ruled by I am Lunaruchi. So, yeah, that was a nice moment. Also, Yamato's a dragon! Yamato is... How many damn dragons, how many damn duck dragons are gonna be on Onigashima? I ask you! Whoa, okay. Why that number? I didn't put that in! How did that number get there? Who are you? Yeah, so Yamato is probably a dragon or half-dragon, okay? This definitely lends belief to the idea that Kaido did not eat a dragon fruit. Kaido was a dragon originally, and then ate some kind of Oni fruit, or maybe some ancient giant fruit to become the form that we're accustomed to, right? And then got together with some woman. Don't really know how that story went. So, yeah. This is interesting. Unless you want to do a thing where Yamato doesn't have, Yamato and Kaido don't have devil fruits at all, and it's just like Kaido is just another race in One Piece that's just like, yeah, there's a dragon race that's existing, and Kaido is one of the last ones, and the dragons just have an inherent ability to shapeshift between humans and dragon form. Oh! Did anyone think of that? Did anyone come up with that? That could be a thing! Holy crap! I think we might have been off the mark here. I mean, I just came up with this idea just now. I'm sure other people probably have, but what if that's the thing? What if that's how it works? What if it's like the regular dragons in the One Piece world? We're not talking about the dragons that were artificially created on Punk Hazard by Vegapunk. We're not talking about those dragons. We're talking about the old school dragons, like the dragon that Ryuma slayed, the dragons the Tenryubito probably controlled back in the day. What if the regular dragons in the One Piece world have the ability to shapeshift? Or, to take it one step further, maybe back in the day, there were a bunch of different kinds of dragons, right? There wasn't just like, maybe there were the dragons that were similar to the one at Punk Hazard, like the giant red dragon or the tiny little green one, but maybe there were a whole bunch of dragons, because Kaido is a Chinese dragon. He's like Shenron, basically, okay? So, what if, like, Kaido is part of a dragon race that, you know, he's a dragon normally, like, that's how he was born, but being a dragon just has this natural transformation ability to become a human, but it's not going to look exactly like a human because you're originally a dragon, so that's why Kaido turns into this big, burly dude. He's got the horns and everything coming out of him, and Yamato could have been a child from Kaido and another dragon, and then, you know, Yamato, that's Yamato's human form, and then the dragon form also exists, but Yamato doesn't like to take that form because of Kaido. That could also explain why we've yet to see Kaido's hybrid form. Maybe he doesn't have one. he doesn't have a hybrid because he didn't eat a Zoan. And that was also revealed why we never got the revelation of him having a Zoan. It was never revealed. He had a devil fruit, right? People assumed, but we don't know. So it might have been something like that. Going back to D&D, that's a thing in Dungeons and Dragons. Dragons can just turn into humans, or they can take human-like forms. I mean, of course, I'm comparing different, media here, but I'm just saying, like, that's kind of where the precedence came from. It's possible. And Yamato was right about to transform into a giant-ass dragon and, like, devour Sasaki in one attack, and was interrupted in the transformation when Frankie showed up. So Yamato is like, I've had enough of you, Sasaki, and then Frankie shows up, and so it wasn't like a hybrid form or anything like that. It was like the transformation was beginning and halted, okay? We see, also, we haven't really seen Kaido's transformation in full in the manga. We saw it a little bit in the anime where it was kind of established. We got to see, like, the hybrid forms sort of in between, but that was anime, and that might have just been the transformation from the human form to the dragon form, right? There's no in-between here, like with most zones. So, holy crap. We've never really gotten an official age for Kaido. He might age slower if he's a dragon, you know what I mean? So, Kaido might have been maybe, like, outwardly, he might have appeared to be 15 years old when he was on Rox's crew, like an apprentice pirate, but in terms of dragon years, he might have been alive for centuries or some shit. Like, we don't know. I don't know how this works, but I don't know. I mean, there might be something I said that might contradict something else. There's a lot of moving parts in One Piece, so just let me know. But that just kind of popped into my head just now. Like, I was gonna go on this whole thing where maybe devil fruits can be passed on through the mother or something, but yeah, that's definitely something we need to explore later. Okay, so anyway, we now move on. There's a lot of stuff in this chapter. We now move on to Law. Yeah, what's up with Law? What's he been doing up until now, right? Well, Law has actually been exploring the depths of Onigashima. He's been walking around trying to find the poneglyphs this entire time. Makes sense, because Law is like the tactical dude. He's like, all right, yeah, you Straw Hat, yeah, you go around and fight and you go crazy, and Kid, yeah, you do whatever you want, Kid. I'm going to just, look for the thing that we're trying to find here. Okay, go crazy. So he defeats some random Smile users. He's making his way down to the lowest level, bottom floor, basement level 2, like basement sub-level 2. So he gets to the bottom of these stairs and he sees a poneglyph, okay? Unfortunately, it is not a red poneglyph, so it's not a road poneglyph. That makes the second... Okay, so there's more poneglyphs in Wano than we already knew, because we knew that there was a poneglyph that was at the basement of Orochi's mansion that wasn't a road poneglyph, and then we know that there's a poneglyph here in the dungeons of Onigashima, and we know there's also a road poneglyph. So there's 3 poneglyphs already in Wano that we know of. We don't know where the road one is still yet, but it's somewhere around here. Maybe it's locked up even tighter because of how important it is. But given the fact that the poneglyphs were created by the stonemasons of the Kozuki clan back in the day, it makes sense there'd be a lot in this one centralized location, right? So Law goes down the stairs and he's staring at the regular poneglyph. Now, he can't read this or anything, but he flashes back to a conversation he had with Robin. I love this! I love this! Law and Robin having a conversation about the Will of D. That makes sense. That makes total sense. Law is like, pounding around with the Straw Hats. Luffy and Zoro and Usopp, Chopper, they're all freaking crazy running around. Frankie's a damn robot with well, he could have an afro if he wants. Brooks got an afro. He's a skeleton. And then Law sees Robin and clearly realizes, like, okay, you are the most rational out of all of these people here, and I can actually sit down with you and have a conversation about things that actually matter. So, Will of D, and then, so Law and Robin sit down and have a chat about the Will of D. That could be interpreted a few different ways. But anyway, yeah. So, Law reveals his secret name to Robin. Okay, he's like, my real name is Trafalgar D. Water Law. I'm not saying that to anybody else. I'm keeping that a secret. Only a few people know about that. Maybe Beppo, maybe some other members of his crew know about that. Maybe his whole crew know about that. But obviously, Law is going to keep it a secret as much as possible because he was told that by Corazon, of course. Don't tell people you're a part of the D clan because that'll cause trouble. And so Robin is like, oh, yes. Well, Luffy is, of course, a member of the, the D clan as well. He doesn't really care about it. He doesn't seem interested in learning about it or anything. But I'm fascinated by the clan of D. And, of course, I want to find out all about the secret of the Void Century and the Rio poneglyphs. This also means fighting against the Yonko to get the Road poneglyphs, to get to Laugh Tale, to get the Rio poneglyphs. So, Robin, and this seems like to be taking place during, like, when they were having off time in Wano. Like, when they first arrived at Wano with Kinemon and they were waiting for Luffy and everybody while they were at Totland. This was probably when this conversation conversation took place. And so they're going on and on about this, and Robin's telling him, and, you know, about the road poneglyphs and what they need to do. Obviously, Law knows about that too, but it's having a conversation. I'm thinking Law was maybe like, well, this is Nico Robin, you know, the devil child, and she's been running from the government forever, and she can read poneglyphs. Maybe she knows something about the clan of D, because Law is like super, he's not like Luffy. Law is actively trying to unravel this mystery. He's the detective here. Like, most people that have the Will of D aren't really super interested in finding out what it means. I don't even know if Blackbeard is really super interested in finding out what it actually means, but Law is like the exception. Law's like, I'm gonna solve this mystery, damn it, you know? So he asks Robin, and Robin's like, I'm sorry, I don't know anything more than you do about the Will of D. I'm fascinated by it, and I'm trying to learn more, and we gotta get the road poneglyphs to make that happen. And so Law's like, all right, if the road poneglyphs is what we need to solve this mystery and figure out what Corazon meant, then I'm gonna do that, absolutely. So he obviously made a beeline right for the freaking basement to try to find this. And so he found one, don't know what it is, don't know what's inscribed on this poneglyph, don't know if we'll ever find out, but Law found one, and he kind of just stands there staring at it, and he's like, Corazon, I need to find it. I need to find the meaning and the truth of this checkered past, or of this cruel, cursed destiny of mine. Something along that line, he says. And, you know, we don't find out anything crazy about the Will of D in this chapter, but I felt like it would be pertinent to at least mention, here's an idea. What if this is something kind of like, there's a prophecy involving the Will of D. I think we can kind of assume there's something with that going on. Either this prophecy is something that involves the entire clan, and only like one selected candidate of the Will of D is going to carry this out, or it might be a thing that like all members of the Will of D are fated to do this one particular thing, or this action. They all have a role to play. And maybe the secret is none of the members of the Will of D clan can learn about the prophecy, or they can learn about what it is the Will of D really means, or what it stands for. Not just in the actual, like, word, because I don't think the word itself really matters. It's just like, the D stands for dawn, or destiny, or whatever the hell you want to say it. There's more to it than that, obviously. So, I think Law is kind of doing something that he shouldn't be. He's just like, you know, most of the members of the Will of D just kind of carry on and do their own thing, like Luffy is just carrying on his own will. He doesn't care about what the D stands for. And maybe that's what Law should be doing too, but he's like, Law's like rationality gets the best of him, and plus the whole thing with Corazon, so he's like, I need to find out what this means. You know, I don't care if I'm not supposed to learn about it or whatever, or it might affect my destiny. I need to know what this is. Even if it means like Law finds the secret, and he's like, all the members of the Will of D are destined to die very young. I guess that's not entirely true, because Garp has the Will of D and he's pretty old, but maybe he went beyond it too. Maybe Garp found out the destiny and he changed it, and he wasn't supposed to, or that's not what the people that originally set the Will of D, like the Will of D clan, meant. You know, it might be some deal like that, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I think I'll probably do a follow-up video on this, because this is Will of D stuff we're talking about here. But Law is definitely very curious about what's happening here, and so he's down in the basement looking for the other poneglyph, the road poneglyph. I'm sure it'll be down there somewhere. It has to be somewhere. So we just have a few more scenes of the chapter that we blitz through really quickly. We have a scene with Eustace Captain Kidd. He's just charging around the entire hall, gathering up as much scrap metal. Like, he has like an entire just like monster truck rally just being towed behind him with his magnetic force fruit, and he's just like, hey, Killer, you think this is enough? And Killer's like, well, we are going up against one of the Yonko, so you can never have too much scrap metal. That's what I always say. Oh, I'm going to kill that son of a bitch. I'm gonna kill that dragon. You know, I'm gonna kill him. You know, and so they're running toward that. Then we cut to the rooftop where we see Kaido already in action, and Kaido is... oh, yeah, he looks pretty damn pissed. He's gritting his teeth. He's got his kanabo. Kinemon comes at him and is like, ah! And then Kaido just... bam! Just piles him into the ground and just proceeds to, like, hit him. Denjiro shows up and just like, ah! And then stabs Kaido in the torso. Denjiro gets, like, boom! Just knocked away. So, it looks like the scabbards are kind of at the end of their ropes here, guys. This doesn't look too good. Kawamatsu's there lying in the dirt, and they're all just kind of, like, beaten down. Denjiro, Kinemon, Raizo, looks like he's bleeding from, like, his eye. He might have a concussion or 2 or 7. Yeah, we just get a brief little scene with them where we just, like, it's like, now we cut away to Kaido curb stomping the scabbards. BAM! BAM! Like heavy metal rock music's playing like and then we just, okay, now we cut away to Luffy and to see what he's up to. So that's what we're dealing with there. Actually, we don't cut away to Luffy right away. We have another very brief scene where Big Mom just charges back into the hall and everyone's like, ah, crap, we didn't have enough to worry about with the Ice Oni. Now Big Mom's back. Big Mom's like, Mama, don't worry about me, everybody. I'm just going to the roof. Yeah, so she's just like charging back in, and I imagine she's just going to get right under the hole where Kaido made, and she's just probably just going to jump up, or I guess use Zeus or Prometheus to just like rocket to the ceiling, to the rooftop. So that's probably what Big Mom's going to do. But yeah, she's like, oh, I don't care about any of you pissants. I'm going to the top. You know, so that's a scary scene. We see Chopper about halfway to Ice Oni, so that's not good. We don't see Marco at all. You know, so don't know what's up with him. Apu is still running. Robin is there just looking fabulous still. You know, you're doing good, Robin. Even in pitched combat, you're bleeding a little bit. You still look awesome. And then Zoro and Drake are still, like, going after Apu. So that's, like, just brief scenes with them. And then we get the last scene of the chapter where we got Luffy, Jinbei, and Sanji running up the stairs. Luffy's like, all right, we're almost at the next level. How much do we have left? I'm counting, Keen! Jinbei's like, no, this is the 3rd floor. The roof is after the 5th. We still got, like, 2 more flights. These are long flights. You see how big this hallway is. It's probably a long time just to get to up 1 level, you know? So Luffy's charging. Sanji and Jinbei are defeating all the Smiles that are jumping them on the freaking stairwell. It's chaos. And the last scene of the chapter is Sanji. He's running, and I think he might be using observation hockey because he kind of closes his eyes and he's kind of like sensing the area around him. So I'm pretty sure he's using observation, or maybe he's just listening very intently, and he hears this kind of sound, and he hears like it's sort of like an instrument, and I'm not sure. I think it might be a shamisen, right? But then he also hears somebody saying along the lines like there's 2 people. Someone like, hey there, come over here and let's have some fun. And there's a woman's voice, and the woman is like, oh no, Lord, you know, that's so naughty. And then that's the end of the chapter. Okay, so Sanji, from the way I'm picturing this, goes into observation and is hearing something going on, some kind of private thing going on in another room. And I think this might be related to Black Maria in some way. Black Maria was the head of that brothel, because Black Maria was up on one of the higher levels, remember? Strumming the shamisen, talking to her little group, singing the song about the star-crossed lovers and stuff. So, that's what I kind of assumed Sanji might get distracted by, Black Maria. I'm not really sure what's going on here, because they're talking about, apparently there's some kind of like high-ranking noble or lord or somebody, either in Kaido's crew or in Wano, that's like going up to a girl, or, you know, like, hey, let's have some fun, and the girl's just like, oh, you're so naughty, my lord. So it might be like Black Maria like teasing, or it might be something else going on. I'm not really sure. Orochi that's kind of his thing, what he does, so it turns out Orochi was still alive the whole time. That would be kind of shocking if Sanji just opens up a door, like, what's going on in here? And you see Orochi chilling out with a bunch of, like, you know, women and stuff, and he's just like, oh, you're Sanji! I'm sorry! Just shut the door, please! You know, he just, like, shuts the door very slowly, like, you're supposed to be dead! What the hell? And just, like, I don't know if it's gonna be Orochi, but I kind of want that to be tied up. It would be funny if it's like, yeah, I was decapitated, he thought I was decapitated by, you know, Kaido, but it turns out I could actually live 8 lives because of my devil fruit. So I was really scared and I ran away and I hid in this room. You know, it could have been something like that. And, yeah, at that point, Sanji could take off another life, just kick him in the face again, and again, and again, and again, and whittle down the lives a little bit. But I'm thinking it's going to involve Black Maria in some way. So we'll see where this goes. Sanji will most likely get distracted and run away. It's okay, though. We still got Jinbei, we still got Luffy. I'm sure with those 2 they can get to the roof pretty easily, but yeah, that's kind of pretty funny there. That's how we ended the chapter. Hello everybody, how you doing? Sorry that the review just kind of cut off there. My battery actually died. It's been a hectic day, but at any rate, yeah, so that's why I had to kind of rush through those last few minutes. I was checking my camera and I'm like, oh man, I gotta get through this. Okay, so Kid does some stuff, and then Big Mom does some stuff, and then Kaido does some stuff, and then Luffy does some stuff, and then Sanji hears some stuff. End of chapter. Alright, so a few things I just wanted to go over as like a post-chapter, like recap kind of deal. So the Yamato thing, right? right? There's actually a lot of people, because I've now had a chance to look at some comments and stuff. I originally assumed, like, and I'm still going with this, but when I saw Yamato have the fangs, I immediately went with, like, Yamato is a dragon, same as Kaido, right? Like, that's the whole thing here. I saw a lot of other people throwing out the more likely idea that it's just a devil fruit, you know, like the dozen other dinosaur zones we have stomping around Onigashima. I don't know. Because Yamato is a child of Kaido, though, I'm gonna go along with the idea that it might be, like, the genetic dragon thing. Like, that might be a thing. That's immediately what I went through. But, you know, might very well be a dinosaur thing as well. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the dinosaur thing, like, the fact that the fangs were just shown very briefly, and then Sasaki was freaking out, and then it was interrupted by Frankie and Hacha, I just feel like if it was just the dinosaur thing, like, you could have just shown, you know, Yamato in the hybrid form or in the full dinosaur form. The fact that Oda just showed the fangs and then just, like, retracted, I'm like, there's something up with that. So I'll probably be making a video about that and do it, you know, elaborate more on the idea. Killer said something interesting in this chapter. I kind of glossed over it because I just kind of took it for granted. But Killer says, you know, we're going up against the strongest pirate on Earth, or the strongest pirate in the world, okay? When Kid was going around gathering up all the scrap metal, he's got like a whole junkyard behind him, basically. And he's like, is this enough, Killer? And Killer's like, I don't know. We are going up against the strongest pirate, so I guess just the more's the better, right? So, I mean, Kaido has the highest bounty in the entire world that's active right now. Like, Kaido being alive has the highest. You know, Roger and Whitebeard's bounties were higher, but they're, of course, dead right now. You know, and I guess there's other bounties like Dragon's. You could say that Dragon is the most wanted man in the world, so his bounty might be higher than any pirate. It might even be higher than Roger's, who knows? But I think that's what Killer was referring to. Like, Kaido has the highest bounty at least all the Yonko, higher than Big Mom, higher than Blackbeard, higher than Shanks. So, you know, it's probably a pretty common thread to say Kaido is the strongest pirate in the world, even if, let's say, Dragon's bounty might be higher. You know, it's like that. I think that's fair to say. I mean, Dragon's, of course, not a pirate. He's revolutionary. But even if you were to say, generally speaking, Kaido is the strongest being on Earth, I could see people saying that in this world, given from what we've seen with Kaido, right? Then finally, we have the Sanji thing that I just wanted to address, okay? Artor posted on his Twitter about this and revealed that, like, the whole thing, the scene that Sanji was, like, overhearing with maybe observation hockey or whatever, that was something that's a more typical scene from Japanese theater, which makes sense because all of Wano is basically structured like Japanese theater or kabuki play. So it's basically a scene where, like, you'll have, like, a man, like, grabbing a woman's, like, kimono or the sash, like, that holds it together and, like, pulling it off. Like, oh, no, you can't. You know, like, that's, like, a common scene in Japanese theater, apparently, and so that was what was being referenced there. It could have just been Black Maria, you know, teasing someone, so that could be a thing. We'll see where that goes. I think it's going to tie back to her, though. I think it's going to tie back to Black Maria, and then Sanji's going to get distracted and then run toward her room. Obviously, Sanji does not fight women, but that doesn't mean women can't fight Sanji, you know, like, so Khalifa, for instance. I don't know. I mean, we already did a callback. We already did the callback to Alabasta when Usopp got struck by Ulti last chapter, the callback to Mr. 4. So maybe we'll have another callback to Enies Lobby, and we'll see what'll happen. Like, you know, Sanji barges in and Black Maria's there, and she attacks Sanji, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not really sure. But yeah, and then, of course, Law. Like, the whole Law thing with the poneglyphs. I was going to do an extra video more about Will of D and talking about my theory there. I brought up in the video, it was like, well, maybe the clan of D can't know about what it stands for. They don't know what it is, and that's for a reason, because if they did find out, then their destiny would shift, or it would shift in a bad way. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just like they can't know. It's just, it's kind of like that scene in Avengers Endgame and, like, Infinity War and in Endgame when Doctor Strange, he's like, I've seen like 14 million possibilities, and I can't tell you the one where we win, because if I tell you, it won't happen, but there is one way for us to win, right? And then later on with Tony, he has to, like, you know,
You know, it's like, I can't tell you what you're supposed to do because then it probably won't happen, right? You know, so it might be maybe something like that with the Will of D, but I'll be making a video about that as well. But yeah, that's that. Hectic day. Thanks to, I wanted to also, before I close it out, I wanted to thank everybody for all the well wishes for Duchess, my dog, our pet boxer. Because today I was just gonna, because I completely forgot the chapter came out today. I completely forgot it was an early chapter. It just escaped me. And so I had to take Duchess up to the vet today. She's had some stomach problems. She wasn't eating a lot. But nothing serious, nothing serious. She didn't have a fever. She wasn't dehydrated. She didn't have anything. Her x-rays came back good. Just maybe some like stomach trouble or whatever. So they got her some medicine and she's doing good. She's doing better. But thank you to everybody on Twitter that was like, just, you know, oh, we hope Duchess gets better because, yeah, she's a really good girl. And yeah, we're glad that she's doing good. And she's getting older too. She's, we don't know exactly when she was born, but we think she was born in 2010. So she probably turned 10 this year, or 9 or 10. She's getting up there. So we're kind of like really worried about her now. A little bit more. But anyway, thanks for all that. And thanks for sticking with me through this. It's kind of a slapdash video. Sorry about all that. But thanks for watching. Have a good one. I'm going to go get this uploaded. And so, yeah, probably not going to do a video tomorrow because I was going to take kind of today off and then everything happened. So tomorrow probably not going to be a video. But then, you know, next week, Sunday, I'll put out some new stuff because there was a lot of stuff in this chapter that I can discuss. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking signing out.